Hello everyone, it is currently April 15th and Alpha V13 testing is now public. So first off, I'm going to show you guys how to get into the public test. All you're going to want to do is if you own Squad, you have to own Squad to access this, is you're going to see right in your Steam library underneath Squad, you're going to have a public testing branch. Go ahead and install that and you'll be able to access all the custom servers that are on V13. So go there, download this, get on the game, go to custom servers, and you'll see all the V13 test servers. But anyways, this video is going to be broken down into two parts. The first part here is going to be going through the testing gameplay changes, and then the second half of this video will be in the game, and I'll be showing you all the new animations, the new toys, the new vehicles. Unfortunately, they did not put the new maps into this testing branch. However, once again, this is just one of the rounds of testing that they're doing. So hopefully we'll see a new map later on into testing. But right now, we're just going to be showing you what they have for this first initial round of testing. So first off, we're going to be going through the RAS changes. So they've added Fog of War to RAS. Now, this is really important because it kind of organizes your team. It's breaking that meta of rushing the enemy's first cap, and it kind of adds a new level of dynamic gameplay where you have to come up with plans somewhat on the fly from cap to cap because you're not going to know where you're going to the next cap until you capture that first point or the next point. You can't just come up with your game plan the entire way through the game and set your fobs up prematurely. You have to go through the match and actually take one flag and then wait to see where the second flag comes up and then take that flag and then see where the third one comes up. So I really like this. I think it'll give more of a mission and operation style of gameplay to Squad, where it's kind of like you have to organize, you have to plan, and then you have to execute, rather than just doing everything off the get-go and knowing exactly how the game is most likely going to play out. I think this unknowing factor is going to be great for gameplay and add a lot of dynamic options and just add a feeling and an air of uncertainty to every Squad match, which I think is great because players love that feeling, because without knowing stuff, you can't really plan for it, which means that a lot of new and fresh things can emerge. So I'm totally behind the Fog of War. And once again, if you don't like the Fog of War, this is only on the RAS layers. The normal AAS layers do not have Fog of War. So you'll still have your standard AAS, and I imagine a couple people will still be playing that. Another thing they've done is they added RAS lanes. So before this patch in V12, RAS and how it functioned is they would take a map and put a whole bunch of random capture points down, and then when you load an RAS layer, it would just pick a random amount of these RAS capture points and then link them all up. In V13, they've created lanes. So now what will happen is when the map goes through and they pick capture points, it's going to pick logical random capture points. It's not going to be completely random, because the issue with having it completely random, like in V12, is that you would have capture points that were nowhere close to each other because it's completely random. It would be picking a capture point on the west side of the map, and then the next capture point would be on the east side of the map, and you're traveling 2-3 clicks to get to the next flag, and it was running havoc on the tempo of RAS games. So what they're doing with the lanes is they're kind of organizing RAS layers to where it is random. You will not know where the next flag is going to be, but the next flag is going to make sense. It's not going to be a 2 to 3 click trek halfway across the map. It's going to be relatively close. It's going to be in a lane. It's going to make sense. It's going to be somewhat linear instead of going back and forth and pinballing yourself all over the map like the previous RAS version. So I'm totally behind this as well. I think that both these changes together are amazing, because if you had done the RAS lanes before, it would have felt not like RAS and not random enough. But with the Fog of War and with the lanes, you now have an idea of what's going on. You kind of know that the next cap zone is going to make sense, but you don't know exactly where it is. So hand in hand, Fog of War and lanes, perfect addition to the Squad, and I can't wait to have that feeling of uncertainty added back into Squad. Next thing is AAS and RAS ticket bleed has been added back in. So they removed ticket bleed before because it was incentivizing rushes to the center flag. It was incentivizing rushes to the first flag. And so they just straight up removed it. But by removing it, they also removed the incentive to continue taking flags, because there's no reason, because there's no ticket bleed. Now what they've done is they added ticket bleed back in. And the reason why I think this is great and why they're adding it in now is because they have Fog of War now. So instead of being able to just rush the center flag or rush the enemy's first flag, you can't, because you can't even see it now. So that problem has been solved with Fog of War. So you can now add ticket bleed back in, so where you can continue incentivizing continuing to cap the next flag. So you can now get a reward for pushing the enemy back to the main, right? You bleed their tickets faster, but you don't incentivize the rushing of the first flag, the enemy's first flag, or the center flag, because you don't know where it is. So I think these two things as well, like all these, the synergy behind the fog of war, the lanes, and ticket bleed, just gonna be amazing for RAS and AS gameplay. And I think I'm gonna start playing RAS again. I know a lot of you know that I love Invasion, but with these RAS changes, like especially the fog of war, I'm probably going to be playing RAS a lot more, just because that random element, the dynamic game mode, just the unknowing feeling, and then the incentivization now to continue pushing. I think that fixed a lot about what some of my problems were with AAS. Ticket bleed UI indicator. This is just adding more visual assets for players to see so that they can, notice what the ticket bleed is. And I think I'm all for adding more information for every player. I just ask that OWI keeps it, out of the way or toggleable or just lets us manage that. But the more information and the more knowledge that player has going into a match, the better plan that they're going to be able to create. So I think this is great. More knowledge is great. Just make sure that it's not all on my screen. I don't want a HUD filled with shit. Don't give me a HUD filled with shit. If I pull up the map, sure, show me all the information and stuff that I need. But while I'm playing the game, get that HUD out of my face. So I definitely like that they added ticket bleed back in, but mainly because they added the new fog of war back in. Or not back in, but in. All right, so the next feature, SL Buddy Rally feature. So first off, this is an experimental feature. This might not make it to live, but essentially what they're testing is seeing if a dead squad leader, when his rally is wiped, can place a rally next to a friendly squad leader's rally. So the reason why they have this is because I'm going to give you a scenario. Let's say we're all in the center of the map, and main is 3 clicks away. And the spawn points available to us in the middle of the map are going to be my rally, my squad's rally, friendly squad's rally, and our fob. Now, if my rally and the friendly fob gets crushed, that's a 3-click trek back to the combat zone. Now, what you can do is that dead squad leader can drop a new rally next to his friend, the squad leader friend, and have his squad spawn on that rally and kind of try to recoup their losses. So I think this is great because it's kind of like a band-aid fix for that loss in tempo of the game when the spawns get crushed. And it's not completely overpowered because you're still going to be spawning with your friendly members. It's not like you're going to be able to just drop a spawn point randomly and attack from a different angle. You're going to be kind of stuck with that squad for that initial moment until you can set up your new rally and a new fob. So it's kind of balanced in that way, but we'll see how this works. It's a nice little crutch for squad leaders to avoid that loss in tempo in a match when your spawn and the fob gets blown up. You can now use buddy rallies. So we'll see how this goes. I am hesitant to see, but if it works, it works. Removal of the instant death penalty timer on revive. I'm so glad they did this because I hated when you would die, get picked up by a medic, and then instantly die again, and now you're sitting in the spawn screen for a minute because you haven't been playing the game for like 30 seconds while waiting for a medic. You get picked up and you get sent into a 60-second death timer. That's 90 seconds. You're not doing anything. You're just sitting there waiting for a medic, and then you're sitting there waiting to spawn. So I think this is a great change because it didn't make any sense. It didn't feel good. It didn't make any sense. It was just like, it makes sense from a realistic point of view, but it wasn't fun. And that's what games are for, right? They're supposed to be fun. So we'll see how this change alters that. They've essentially allowed players to continue getting picked up. It's not going to send you right into instant death. So I think that's fair because if you get killed again, you're not getting up, so you're not getting rewarded. You're still getting punished for getting picked up right away without the medic, clearing the area or safely getting you up. And it's keeping that medics relevant because medics will still be able to get you up, and it allows you to get back into the fight without having to wait that 90-second penalty for trying to get picked up by a medic. So it removes that punishment of waiting to try to get picked up by a medic. So hopefully more people will wait for medics. Fire team leader, marker, rangefinder, removal. So what happened here is fire team leaders were given the ability to mark. And with that mark, they would also get the ability to range because you drop the markers in FTL and the range would come up. They've still allowing your fire team leaders to drop marks. They just don't range anymore. I'm fine with this change because that's all that would happen in V12 is everyone would get fire team leader kit so that everyone could just range their own guns with their own markers. I think what they could do is limit it to where there's only 2 fire teams and then the rangefinder removal, would also help as well, because that's not what the FTL should be used for. Not for range finding, for organization and for leadership. That's what the fireteam leader slot should be utilized as, not just so that every individual player with his individual kit can range find his own weapon. So hopefully more teamwork, and that's what all this is talking about. By the way, I'm going to leave a link to this in the description if you want to read through the entire changelog for yourself. This is just my impressions once again. Map pings removal, this was so meta. Like, anyone could point out anyone just pinging on the map. So they've completely removed this. I totally stand behind this. I think it was a garbage feature, and now it's out. Mortar buffs, this was very much needed. Mortars did not do enough splash damage. You could have a 30 millimeter mortar just hit like right next to you, and it would not do anything. So they've increased the damage, the wounding radius, but the insta-kill radius is still the same. So you still pretty much need the mortar to land right on top of your head to insta-kill you, but it's going to make you bleed or at least hurt you at a larger radius. And that's all I asked for, because realistically, I feel like that shrapnel would fly further than it does right now in V12, and so they are doing that. They're increasing it. So we'll see how that works. But yeah, you could pretty much run through a mortar barrage, and so long as one didn't hit you right on the head, you were going to be fine. Vehicle balance changes. Now, this is where I have a couple of I guess, contradicting opinions on this. I personally feel like squad is kind of getting too far away from its infantry focus, and I'm not sure what OWI wants to do. I think OWI wants to add more vehicles in. I mean, they're adding helicopters in, they're adding the tanks in, all this stuff, and I think it's great. I definitely, you guys know how much I love helicopters. You guys know how much I love the tanks, but I think it's getting to be too much. I think the vehicle should be a secondary gameplay element, and infantry should come first and foremost, because everyone in the game is at some point going to be in a vehicle, but everyone plays infantry. Like, you can't really play squad without playing infantry. Everyone's going to play infantry at some point. That needs to be the primary focus, in my opinion, of squad. And what I see happening ever since, like, I think maybe V12 is, like, an abundance of armored vehicles. Like, you'd have, like, 4 strikers for the map, plus 2 Bradleys, plus a tank. Like, there's just so much armor running around to where it's not only taking players off the infantry field because these infantry, because players have to man these vehicles, but it's also just making these vehicles just really, really, like, unbelievably strong in a match, and it's just making them not feel special at all because you can just blow them up and grab a new one because it's sitting back at main. In a perfect world, if, like, I had any control over this at all, I would prefer if, like, you maybe had 3 armored vehicles per team on a map, period. Whether that be like 1 tank, 1 Bradley, 1 MRAP or something. But the whole point of that is you want the vehicles to feel special. You want them to feel strong, and you want them to be a presence on the battlefield. You don't want them to say, oh, look, it's another fucking BTR. Because that's happening right now. When you're playing squad in V12 right now, it's like, oh, God, it's another fucking strike. It's another BTR. It's another warrior. There's just so much goddamn armor that players just roll their eyes. Where I feel like when a tank rolls by, or when a BTR rolls by, or when a Bradley rolls by, it should be like, oh, fuck, the Bradley's here, right? Like, that should be the aura that you get when you see an armored vehicle. And another issue of that is it comes down to balancing. Is like, these vehicles are infantry killing machines. Like, they're IFVs, right? They're meant to kill infantry, and they kill infantry really well. So when you have multiple IFVs or APCs slaughtering infantry, it doesn't feel good, especially not until we get like javelins or heat-seeking or long-range infantry manned anti-tank capabilities. Because, like, yeah, we have RPGs, we have laws, we have hats and stuff, but that stuff outside of like 100 meters, unless the target's completely stationary and letting you just lob round after round, like, it's incredibly hard to kill these things. Toes are definitely the right answer, but you can easily kill toes. One thing I have noted is that they are bringing in the BRDM Conkers equipped scout car, so you do have anti-tank wire-guided capabilities on the BRDM, and you also have the TOW on the MRAP now. So you have 2 mobile wire-guided anti-tank missile platforms now, but still, I feel like the infantry needs to have an answer, like infantry alone. Whether that's going to be the Javelin or some other heat-seeking long-range infantry capabilities. That's just my feel. I feel like squad should just be focused on an infantry scale first, with the BTRs, or not BTRs, but the vehicles being secondary and important and special. Keep them strong. Keep them like kind of OP. But when you have all these OP vehicles running around and you have so many of them, it feels bad for infantry gameplay. And that's why I fell in love with squad, is because it's a great infantry gameplay game. But it's so shitty when you're running around with a squad and like 3 BTRs are around the map just fucking up your squad. It's like it doesn't feel right. And maybe that comes from me playing earlier versions of squad where vehicles weren't as prevalent and we got that experience to where, like, yeah, it's mostly infantry focused, but yeah, you have 2 BTRs on the map and yeah, they're gonna be strong, but it's not an abundant amount of armor fucking up your team the entire time. I don't know. Sorry for that long rant. That's just my opinion, and I'm going into that because they're buffing the BTR. The BTR is getting a buff. So, I don't know. I feel like infantry, especially with the persistent ammo, like, I love persistent ammo and what it does as far as, like, needing resupply and to work with your team. But when an armor shows up and you have, like, 4 armored vehicles and you only have, like, 2 AT rounds and you gotta refill your rounds because of persistent ammo, like, these vehicles just run right over your infantry. Unless you have, like, the only counter the vehicles is more vehicles, and you're just creating this weird escalation of armor to the point where I feel like this game's gonna turn into just like tanks versus tanks. It's gonna turn into War Thunder, guys. No, but memes aside, I hope that OWI kind of like chills on all this armor, because it's turning into like armor escalation, and it doesn't feel good for infantry gameplay. And I think that's where squad is strongest. All right, talking about infantry gameplay. Movement, speed, increased balance changes. So I like these a lot. I know it's experimental, so just like the other change, this might not make it to live, but increasing speeds by 10% is actually, it feels good, especially with how big the maps are getting and how much we're running these days. I feel like it's great. You don't really need to because there's so much vehicles, but I think movement speed is increased. Could have used it, so I'm glad to see that in there. Stamina changes as well. So once again, they're making infantry more mobile. So you're going to be able to run faster and run longer because the stamina costs have been decreased as well. So I think that's great. They've also tweaked how ADS movement speeds work, so you're always moving the same speed, which is good. And then this is also interesting, is they increase the prone sprint cost. So you can still prone sprint and you can still crawl fast, but it's gonna be for a less amount of time because you're not gonna have as much stamina because you're increasing that cost by 8. So I'm fine with this, but I think the decreased stamina cost across the board mixed with the movement speeds, great for infantry gameplay, especially with how big these maps are getting without helicopters. Like, oh god, it's just sometimes you're running for so long. But yeah. You heard my BTR rant and armor rant. Going on how this video is actually 18 minutes, we're probably going to cut the second... I'm probably going to upload a second video showing you guys the in-game assets and the new animations and the new vehicles and all that good stuff, and how the new movement feels as well. So that's pretty much my thoughts on the V13 gameplay changes so far. I'm hopefully thinking that we're going to see like the new map also released in the next alpha V13 test, hopefully. So hopefully we'll also get some more goodies in addition to these for V13. I don't believe that this is all they're doing for V13, because that would be kind of disappointing. I have heard, however, on the other side, that as far as like optimization and gameplay, or not gameplay, but performance, there have been massive frame increases. So people are getting plus 20 frames and so on and so forth. So great on that note, like optimization with the engine upgrade to V13, absolutely wonderful. A lot of these changes for gameplay, perfect. RAS, awesome. Lanes, Fog of War, Ticket Bleed, SL Buddy, maybe we'll see how that goes, but I can see how that is a nice crutch. Removal of the instant death, perfect. Rangefinder removal is like, okay. Mortar increase, I'm going to be using mortars more now. You guys love the indirect fire videos, so we're going to get more of that in there. And then I'm hoping that they do something about the armor game in squad, like decrease the amount of armor pieces if you're going to buff armor this much, but like this armor escalation has got to stop at some point. because it's getting pretty insane. But that's it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you don't own Squad yet, which is weird because why are you watching this video then? I am selling Squad game keys at karmakut.com. Go over there, check it out. Anyways, like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of these changes in the comments down below and what you think is the most amazing thing in this next patch. And yeah, I'm going to be uploading the second part of this video showing you the in-game assets, the new sapper kits, the new vehicles, and the new animations sometime today or tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Really do appreciate it, and I'll see you all in the next one.